Hello everybody, how are you? This is Stephen Choi. This is the first video of the three that I'll be making for May 4th, 2020, okay? May 4th, 2020. So happy May everybody. I have a couple of good news. As you can see, I finally got a haircut after 7 weeks. I got a haircut, so I'm very happy. I feel much lighter with less hair now. So that's one good news. And another good news, I'm sure some of you had the same news, but the IRS sent me $1,200 direct deposit into my bank account. So I was very, very happy about that, okay? So, if you haven't gotten yours, make sure you sign up for that, okay? Anyway, that's a great country, okay? Coronavirus, this time is challenging and it's difficult, but it really, gives me a lift when the government helps out like this, okay? So I'm very thankful, okay? All right, so today we are going to start on Unit 3, okay? Unit 3, Friends and Family, Unit 3, Friends and Family. And we're going to go right to page 34, and talk about because plus a clause and because of plus a noun phrase, okay? So we're going to talk about that. All right, so let's go back a little bit and review what we talked about in my previous videos. Remember the difference between phrase, clause, and sentences? Phrase, clause, and sentences. Okay, do you remember that? Remember, we talked about sentences. We talked about what a complete sentence is. Okay, complete sentence. You have to have what? You have to have a subject, verb, and complete thought, right? Subject, verb, and complete thought. That makes a sentence, a complete sentence. And what about clauses? Clauses, you have to have what? Exactly. Subject and verb, but you don't have to have complete thought. Sometimes they do, like in main clause, situation. Main clauses have complete thought. Main clause, in fact, it is a sentence, right? All right. So, but to be a clause, you don't have to have complete thought. As long as you have a subject and a verb, that's a clause. And how about phrases? Phrases, no requirements, okay? Just a couple of words or more. Like, remember the example I gave you? Like, no smoking, no swimming, for example. Phrases like, in the class, okay? Those are all phrases. Well, today we're going to talk about the conjunction because, okay? Because plus a clause sometimes, and then another time just a phrase, okay? Starting with of, because of, okay? So if you look at page 34 in your book, okay? Page 34 in your book, it says what? It says, Anna can't reach the smoke alarm because the ceiling is too high, okay? So that's an example of because and a clause coming afterwards, okay? And then the second way is what? Anna can't reach the smoke alarm because of the high ceiling, okay? And that one is an example of what? That's an example of using because, conjunction because, and then following it up with a noun clause, starting with a preposition of, okay? All right, so before we move on, let's do a little pronunciation, okay? That is pronounced how? It's OF, right? That's a common preposition. That is pronounced like an OV, of, okay? Of. Remember, OFF is a different word, right? Like turn off the light, okay? Turn on, turn off, okay? Off and on. Okay, so this is pronounced like F, right? Off, off. But the preposition is pronounced of, okay? So, because of, okay? Because of. All right, let's move on. All right, so the examples in the book a little bit too long for me to write, so let me just, think of a shorter one. Okay, so we could say um, we can't go out uh, because what? Because because coronavirus pandemic. Oh, that's a big word. Pandemic is dangerous. Okay, I wrote a long sentence after all. Okay, we can't go out because coronavirus pandemic is dangerous. Okay, so this is a long sentence. All right, so obviously we have two clauses. We can't go out, and then second clause is what? Is because coronavirus pandemic is dangerous. Okay, so that first clause is the main clause, right? That's the main clause. Okay, that's the main clause. And what is this one? This is the dependent clause, right? That's the dependent clause. Okay, dependent clause. Okay, and in the first clause, the main clause, the verb is what? We, and we go, right? We can go, right? That's the complete verb, right? We can go. Okay, so that's the subject and verb, and it makes perfect sense, right? Anyway, we can't go out. That's the clause. How about here? Because coronavirus pandemic is dangerous. Okay, so where's the subject in this clause? Okay, so we have a pandemic, right? That's a big word. That means, diseases, all over the country or even the whole world. Okay, pan means everywhere, right? Okay, so coronavirus pandemic. Pandemic is a subject, and the verb is what? Is. Okay, so you got subject and verb following because. Okay, so when you use just because without the preposition, you have to have a clause. Okay, clause meaning what? It has to have a subject and a verb. Okay, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to have complete thought. Okay, because coronavirus pandemic is dangerous. That is subject and verb, but that's not a complete thought, right? Because coronavirus pandemic is dangerous. Okay, that's not a complete thought. Okay, all right. So that's the clause, subject and verb. So if you just put because, subject and verb, that's it. That's all you gotta do. Okay. Um, One more thing. I noticed this with a lot of ESL students. For some reason, ESL students just want to put a comma before the word because. Okay, before the word because, but you don't need a comma there. In fact, you shouldn't put a comma there. Okay. Okay, don't put a comma before because. I see that all the time. Sometimes they put it here like that, okay? Close to the B instead of the last word. Okay? So don't put a comma before because. You don't do that. If anything, if you flipped it around, if you made a sentence with the dependent clause first, because clause first, you would say what? Because coronavirus pandemic is dangerous, we can't go out. Okay, so if you started the sentence with the because clause, then you would put a comma there. Okay, you put a comma there, and then say we can't go out because coronavirus pandemic is dangerous, comma, we can't go out. Okay, so when you start with and I mentioned this in previous video, if you start with the main clause, we don't need to put the comma. Okay, but when you start a complex sentence like this with the dependent clause, then you want to put a comma after the dependent clause, and then begin the main clause or the independent clause. Okay, so that's the main thing um, about using because and a clause coming afterwards. Okay, now let's make this into another example. Okay. All right, let's see. So instead of putting a clause after the word because, after the conjunction because, sometimes we can make it a lot shorter by just putting of, right? We can't go out because of what? Because of coronavirus pandemic. Okay? So this one, okay, we can't go out because of coronavirus pandemic. Okay, this one, is that a clause or a phrase? This right here, because of coronavirus pandemic. There's a lot of words. It's still kind of long because I put a lot of words in there. Because of coronavirus pandemic, is that a phrase or a clause? That can't be a clause, right? Because you don't have a subject and verb. Okay, all it has is what? Bunch of words, right? Because that's a conjunction. Of is a preposition. Coronavirus in this sense is an adjective, right? And pandemic is what? Is a noun, right? It's a noun, okay? So that's a conjunction. That's a preposition. That's an adjective. Coronavirus. I'm sorry, not adverb. Adjective. And this is a noun, okay? So you got all that. There's no verb, okay? There's no verb. No verb here, okay? So this cannot be a clause, okay? It has to be, this must be a phrase, okay? This must be a phrase. Remember logical conclusion using the word must, okay? This must be a phrase because it does not have what? It does not have a subject verb in the phrase there, okay? All right. So we can't go out because of coronavirus pandemic, okay? So when you put of, you can't have a clause. You cannot put a subject and verb. In fact, if you did that, it sounds really bad. Listen to it. We can't go out because of coronavirus pandemic is dangerous. No, I mean, if that sounds okay to you, that means we need to work on it. Okay, so we can't go out because of coronavirus pandemic. Okay, so when you put because of, you just put a noun phrase. Okay, noun phrase or prepositional phrase. Okay, that's all you gotta put. Okay, so if you just put because, you follow it up with the clause that has a subject and a verb. When you use because of, you just follow it with the phrase, okay, a noun phrase or prepositional phrase, okay, no subject and verb. Okay, it doesn't sound right. Okay, in fact, it's not because it's not. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so let me erase this. Okay, let me erase this. Let's go back. Let's go back to the book on page 34. In section 2, there's a section. There's a listening and reading and grammar section called "A Nice Surprise." Okay, so let's listen to the. There's a QR code, as you know. So I got it down here already. So let's listen to the paragraph here. Okay. All right. Let's listen to the paragraph. Let's listen to the paragraph. All right. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I thought I saved it. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Here it goes.
Page 34. Exercise 2A.
A nice surprise. Lei wanted to bake a cake because it was her neighbor Margie's birthday. Lei needed to go to the store because she didn't have any flour. However, her car had a flat tire. She probably got the flat tire because her tires were very old. Because of this problem, she couldn't drive to the store. She couldn't walk to the store because of the distance. It was more than a mile away. Lei had a clever idea. She went to Margie and asked to borrow a cup of flour. Margie was happy to help because she had a lot of flour and because she was a good neighbor. 2 hours later, Lei returned to Margie's house with a beautiful cake. When Margie opened the door, Lay shouted, "Happy birthday!" Margie was very surprised and happy. Because of the nice surprise, Margie had a wonderful birthday.
Okay, so that was the whole passage called "A Nice Surprise." Okay, and we use because and because of. Okay, and let's go through it really quick. We don't have that much time on this video. It says Lay wanted to bake a cake because. Why because? Why not because of? Why just because? Because what follows after the word because in number 1? It says it was her neighbor. It was her neighbor Marge's birthday. Okay, so it was the subject verb, right? Because a clause with the subject verb is following, you just put because, not because of. Okay, you wouldn't say because of it was her neighbor Marge's birthday. Okay, so simple as that. All right. How about number 2? Number 2. Number two is what? Number 2. It says Lay needed to go to the store, and then what? She didn't have any flour. She didn't have any flour. Is that a clause or a phrase? Is that a clause or a phrase? It has subject and verb, right? She is the subject and did have. Okay, that's the verb. So again, you would just put because. Okay. All right. Number 3. Number 3. What's number 3? Number 3. It says she probably got the flat tire, and then what follows after number 3 there? The blank. Her tires were very old. Her tires were very old. Okay. Is that a phrase or a clause? Her tires were very old. Okay, that's that's a clause. Tires is subject, were is the verb, right? That's a be verb. So you would just put because, okay? All right. Number 4. Number 4. What's number 4? Number 4 is because this problem. Because this problem. Is it this problem? Is that a clause or a phrase? This problem. This problem, there's no subject verb together there, right? Definitely not a verb. Okay, problem might have been a subject, but without a verb, it can't be a clause, right? It can only be a phrase. So you would put what? Would you say because this problem or because of this problem? It's because of this problem. Okay, good. Number 5. All right, again, number 5 says the distance. Okay, is it because the distance or because of the distance? The distance, 2 words. That doesn't sound like it has subject and verb, right? That doesn't sound like a clause. That must be a phrase. So you would say because of the distance, right? Because of the distance, not because the distance. Okay, it's a phrase. So you would put because of the distance. All right, number 6. Number 6, Margie was happy to help, and then blank. She had a lot of flour. She had a lot of flour. She is a subject. Had is the verb. That's a clause. Subject verb. She had. So you have to put just because. Because she had a lot of flour. Because of she had a lot of flour? No. That's a clause following. So you have to just put because. No of. Because she had a lot of flour. And then, and 7, she was a good neighbor. She was a good neighbor. Is that a clause or phrase? She was a good neighbor. Okay, so she's a subject. Was is the verb. That's a clause. So you just put because. No because of. Okay, so you would say Margie was happy to help because she had a lot of flour and because she was a good neighbor. Okay, number 7. Oh, that was 7. Number 8, the last one. Okay, the last one. All right, Margie was very surprised and happy. Blank, the nice surprise. The nice surprise. Is that a phrase or is that a clause? The nice surprise. No subject verb, right? That must be a phrase again. Therefore, you put what? Because of the nice surprise. okay? Because it's just a noun phrase, all right? All right, thank you very much. I will be right back with the second video, okay?